Good Wednesday morning of Holy Week. We're now come right up into the Holy Thursday, and this is, in a sense, the last text in preparation for the Great Triduum, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Sunday. Okay, and this is Matthew this time, but it's the same thing. It's the betrayal. It's the Last Supper. The context of that, and it's Judas's betrayal. It's not whatever. Let me read it to you. When it was evening, he reclined at table with the 12, and while they were eating, he said, Amen, I say to you, one of you will betray me. Deeply distressed at this, they began to say to him one after another, Sure, it's not I, Lord. He said in reply, He who has dipped his hand into the dish with me is the one who will betray me. The Son of Man indeed goes as it is written of him. This is so sad. But woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would be better for that man if he had never been born. Then Judas, his betrayer, said in reply, Surely it's not I, Rabbi. He answered, You have said so. I remember the old translation, Thou hast said it. Thou hast said it. Oh, boy. Better if he had never been born. Isn't that horrifying condemnation? Better if they had never been born. The betrayer. You know, this is even more so because I'll show you, whatever it may be, where they're eating dinner together. You never sin against the table that you eat at. Meaning, when you eat dinner with somebody, there is a bond, an unbreakable bond there. You better not break it. When you're at dinner at the table, you are with your host, friends. Doesn't mean something casual. There can never be any kind of conflict at that table, let alone betrayal. Remember, I told you that so many times. If you grew up in my home, and especially when we had dinners, major dinners with the family, okay, what's equivalent to this? It would be celebratory. Not a lot, 2 or 3 times a year, but especially Christmas. My dad was a waiter, and hence he worked when other people played. And so we rarely had dinners together, real dinners, okay? Because the weekends, my father worked. We went to school on the weekdays, you see. But every so often, like Christmas especially, the whole family came to dinner, which is not just the immediate family, all our cousins and friends. There was maybe 24, 25 people. It was a huge, I told you, the dinner, you have to see it. It's not kind of like a restaurant. It's a festa. You start at noon, you get up from the table around 7 o'clock at night. It's 7, 8 hours. And you go through dinner, pre-dinner, dinner, dessert, dinner again, you eat the leftovers. It's constant. We went through so many bottles of wine. But you're never allowed to get drunk. You're never allowed to raise your voice at the table. You are never, ever allowed to betray anyone at that table. That table, you are safe at that table. That is as ancient as the ancient world. No harm can come to anyone at your table. It's a sacred place. It's inviolable. Even via voce, even by words, you can't, by mouth, you can't start an argument at the table. One time I did, and man alive, my father landed on me. You never brought up conflict. Never. Not at the dinner table. You can do it before, you can do it after, but not at the table. Judas double crosses him at the table. Those words at the end, surely it's not I, Rabbi. Yeah, it is, pal. Be on your way. What you got to do quickly. Boy, that's betrayal. That's betrayal. At the table. He was sitting at the table knowing he would betray Christ, intending to do so. He had his own purposes. To some extent, they were noble. He wanted Christ to become the Redeemer his way, see, not Christ's way. He had the image of the Roman Empire in mind. He didn't have the image of a crucified Christ. He wanted it his way, and in so doing, Judas betrayed him. I'm just reflecting on it, because I think of fidelity so much these days. What is it to be faithful? See, it's not just a la Judas to keep your nose clean. but it is to be actively faithful, to actively love more than your partners in life, your companions in life. Companion means to eat at the table, eat the fellow eaters of the bread. You're at the sacred table. You don't betray. You remain faithful to the table, to the people at the table. You have to see it. It's very sacred. See? Judas betrayed that. I think of the Eucharist, which of course is instituted here. But I think of the Eucharist, of prayers. We're not just there to fulfill an obligation, but to grow in love for each other as fellow parishioners, fellow Christians, fellow Catholics, sharers in the divine mystery. I mean that. We should be there at Mass as friends actively together in worship and friendship. Friends together. I take that as a verb. Friends together as an activity. It means looking out for each other. I think of that as a neighborhood virtue. I told you that a million times. I think of Frankie Coppola and the people down the street, even people who may not like you as such, but they looked out for you. They were neighbors. And in that sense, friends. In that sense, friends. When I kid around about it in the class, I talk about the kids of the old neighborhood. Yeah, but I really mean it. Somebody asked me one time where I got my wisdom from. So it's a serious person. And I said, from the kids of the old neighborhood, growing up in a neighborhood. It's what you have here in the text. The apostles are neighbors to each other, to Christ. He's a good neighbor, you see. Looks out for each other. I believe that. I believe that in the monastery. I believe that in the university. Of my fidelity to my classmates. My fellow philosophers, the members of our department. I told you that story was kind of cute. Because when I was chair all those here, 28 years, I was involved with other chairs, and I was friends, and I helped them where I could. Don't throw my weight around. If I had any weight to throw, sometimes I didn't have nothing, but sometimes I did, an influence here or there for their benefit. But I always told them, don't double-cross me. Don't double-cross me. Don't come after my department. If I ever find out, I'll cream you. I meant it, because you double-crossed a friend. I'm your friend. Don't ever double-cross me. Don't ever double-cross my department. Don't you ever work against my department, because God, I won't forgive you. I'll come at you with all I've got. And there were a couple of instances when that happened. They didn't stay in this chair very long. Not only they double-crossed me, they double-crossed each other. That's a vice. And those vices aren't self-contained. They spread. Paid a high price for it. I'm sorry for them. Maybe they learned. But they weren't a friend. They treated people as strangers and enemies, competitors, not as friends. As I said about one fellow, if he grew up in my neighborhood, somebody would have kicked the crap out of him a long time ago. A sad story. He didn't know how to be a friend. Didn't know how to be a friend. He was a self-seeker. Okay. But in a neighborhood, you get marked. You'll get marked. You'll pay for it. But if you're a friend, even if they don't like you, you'll be safe. They'll look out for you because we're neighbors. You see? We live on the same street. I thought of that in the department. I learned those virtues in the department. I learned them in the order. I actually learned them from my family. You take care of your family. You don't have to always be perfectly getting along, but you never betray your family. What did my mother say to me when I left home? Never betray the family name. Never disgrace us. Never betray us. You think that's not powerful? It is. Never be a betrayer. Look out for your friends, your neighbors, those whom Providence has given you, your spouse, your children, all who are in your life. Look out for them. Give your heart to them. Serve them. And if you have to die for them, die for them.